The second I saw David Robert Mitchell's name, I was like immediately, I was a huge fan of him, huge fan of It Follows, and I knew his name from that movie. So I would have signed on to anything blindly if I knew that he was involved. So yeah, that was my first impression of it. Was the first thing I saw was his name, and I was immediately very intrigued, but never in a million years thought that I would like ever get to touch this script or have any part in it. But I was so shocked by the script. I think that it's very different from what I knew of him, and what he's made before, which only made me like love it so much more. And I think I kind of watched the movie in my head while I read the script. I didn't expect it to be so like so much running and screaming and crying. Like that was my first thought, was like, oh my God, I'm really gonna get my miles in during this shoot. I was also surprised by like the way that I don't know, just the family dynamics with each other were written so well, and I felt for them immediately when I was reading it. And I had never read a script of this kind. I've never really been considered for anything of this kind. So yeah, I was shocked by a lot of it, but I think the depth of the characters and of their relationships with each other was also like just shocking in general. I think his writing is so beautiful. I think their dynamics with each other honestly shift so much throughout the movie. I think at the start it's maybe a little more reserved and like a typical family, and then by the end it's like the trauma bond and the love that's like spewed between them is like very evident to me. I felt it a lot when we were filming it. Denise is played by Anne Hathaway, and I love her. She is so smart and so thorough and thoughtful with every moment and every line and literally every beat. She just elevates everything that she touches, and she has like such a crazy ability to like create tension in a scene, which was so necessary and so needed for all of us as well. Like we bounced off of her so much. She just like in a second can like tense up, and it is felt by everyone. She brought so much to the role. I think she's so like clever and smart, and had such an understanding. I think she's like given material and she just knows what to do with it. Like immediately her instincts are so perfect. And honestly, it was like so inspiring and beautiful to watch her create a character. Like to watch it from day one to the end was so cool. To watch her like consistently stay in the same character and think as the character. It was a masterclass. It was really amazing to watch. David is, like his mind is actually so fascinating. I would kill to see like how he looks at things. I feel like his eyes are like little cameras that he's just like always thinking and looking in like shots. He's so brilliant, like so smart, and working with him was like, I'll never get over it. I couldn't believe that I got to be in his presence and to live in his cinematic world that he had created for us. And yeah, working with him we all just absolutely adored him, and he was very thorough and like knew exactly like what he wanted it to look like. And yeah, he's the definition of like a director. Like he's brilliant, and I think he's probably always been brilliant, and I'm so happy that he gets to like bring everything to life.
The movie is action-packed, especially suspenseful. I mean, you are kind of trapped following these characters in a claustrophobic environment. You know, you're in a 2-mile radius, no going outside of that, and you are trapped. Following these characters, knowing that behind every corner there could be like a dinosaur or, you know, even a crazed human on the loose. You know, it keeps you on your toes the whole time, and you're constantly, like, even when reading the script itself, I was sweating. My palms were sweaty. Once this neighborhood, seemingly normal neighborhood, gets transported into this prehistoric time full of murderous dinosaurs, no one really knows what is going on. So you see people just get in their cars and go to work, and suddenly you're hearing a car crash and screams in the distance, and next minute you're getting chased down by dinosaurs. She really shows her terror. You see it in her eyes when you're performing with her. And I mean, I can't imagine what it would look like on camera, because even on set, working face to face with her, I feel that terror, and it gives me chills. Anne Hathaway delivers a chilling and brilliant performance. On the surface, Greg seems like this leader, this strong character, but as the movie goes on, you see his vulnerability start to show. And, as conflict rises between the Platts, you start to see Ewan's skill in his performance, because he's able to balance out his, vulnerable interior feelings with this fight or flight, protector of the family. And that's why I think Ewan is also extremely talented and hardworking. He is able to pull that off very well. Working with David Robert Mitchell has been an unforgettable experience. I'm very grateful to be a part of his production. I had also seen his other movies, such as It Follows, which is another brilliant film. And I was very excited to, work with him once I found out that I was taking part of this project. One thing that I really, really do love about working with David is the way that he talks to you and he delivers you notes. He really, he gets to know you on a personal level, and when you're on set, you feel like, you're working in a safe, comfortable environment where you can ask all of the questions that you need to. And David, he'll come over, he'll pull you to the side, he'll pull you a couple feet away, and he'll really, give you the time that you need as an actor. And that's what I really love about David. I can always have a conversation with him at any time, and he's always there giving, invested, and, David is eternally hardworking, and he knows what he wants. He has a clear vision, and I'm very glad to have someone so capable of taking the helm of the ship and really, guiding all of us through his movie.
I'd always wanted to make a dinosaur movie since I was a kid. My dad was obsessed with dinosaurs. For a job, he worked for Chrysler, but he had always dreamed of being a paleontologist. He was always reading dinosaur books. I grew up around it. I really kind of fell in love with the idea of doing it. Always wanted to, but didn't know what would be my version of a dinosaur film. And then a few years ago, I was walking through my neighborhood, just like a casual, stroll, and I was passing by this really interesting house and garage and this alleyway, and I just imagined that there was a dinosaur there, digging through the trash, and I just could see it. And I just sort of stopped and I looked at this sort of interesting tableau, and I was like, oh, I love the way this feels. This fantastical thing in this very mundane, average, middle class neighborhood, and I was like, oh, I want to write something that feels like this. I want to make a movie that feels like this. This image in my mind. I mean, she's just an amazing actress, and I knew she'd be incredible, and if we were lucky enough for her to do it, what was interesting in seeing her, as we started filming the movie and we got to some of these moments. It was one thing when we were doing, the dramatic, the family story, but when we started to get to moments of suspense and danger and fear, there was another level that we got to that was we all felt it. Everyone watching, it was phenomenal, and just seeing her perform in that way, it was something that I hadn't seen her do before, and was really exciting. That's one of those things I was like, oh, I can't wait for audiences to see her doing this kind of role. Anything that I'm making, I'm trying to put things into the world that wouldn't exist otherwise, and that's sort of always my goal with anything that I make. I'm trying to put an element of myself and creativity and imagination and something and trying to contribute something, put something out there that I think people might enjoy and that I enjoy. Anything that I do, there are certainly similarities and overlap in terms of approach, in terms of moments in terms of tone, but this, in terms of the scares and suspense, that's certainly related to some of the things that we did in It Follows. There are some camera moves and some objective moments in terms of slowing things down, allowing moments to breathe, having things occur in the distance, some interesting sort of colder objective camera in places that I think has a particular effect. But so the movie has so The End of Oak Street has some of those moments. But it also is, it's very much its own thing. I do see them as very different pieces. In terms of the dinosaurs within the movie, it started, of course, at the script stage. It's very much about what is interesting in these particular moments. How can I build these set pieces? These a combination of moments of terror, suspense, or just even just suggesting animals just living in this environment, or moments of joy or humor or any of that. So it's about figuring out what works for those particular sequences, and then so there was a certain amount of that decided. But then once we were in our planning stage and putting the film together, there was a lot of design work and concept art that helped us narrow in. It was really fun because we got to play. It was it's a combination of the science, what we know, but also there's creativity and a little bit of play at work as well. It's both. I was thrilled when Ewan agreed to play the role of Greg. We needed, again, what he brings to it is there's a depth, there's a charm, there's real love. I mean, this is a person who, who's struggling in ways that is, he's drinking, he has shame about his work, about some elements of his life, and so, Ewan portrays that, and it's really wonderful, but also, the idea of just really caring about this father, this husband, this dad, who, there's a really lovable, wonderful quality that he has that really allows you entrance into the family, and you really connect with them and care, and that's just it's just a quality that he has that is fantastic. Needing to find young actors to portray Anne and Ewan's kids, and young actors who can perform at the level and sort of hold up in the scenes with actors as talented as Anne and Ewan. And it's challenging. We found Maisy and Christian 100% that, and incredible, and able to inhabit those characters in great ways, and they're great. We wanted to shoot this in a style that was closer to the ways in which these kinds of movies were made in the late 70s, early 80s. So it was about not having too much coverage, letting things play in shots, pacing down the editorial. We wanted, there's a bit of brightness and joy in the lighting and the compositions, especially for certain parts of the movie. We wanted there to be a certain amount of naturalism.
I was sent a script that David Robert Mitchell wrote that he was intending to direct, and reading it felt like watching a great episode of The Twilight Zone. Like, it felt like it just read in this delicious way, and I was such a fan of David's. So the idea of getting to work with him on a movie that on the page was so much fun was just a thrill. The great thing about the way David approached this movie is he approached this monster movie through the eyes of the people and the characters. So it's I would argue it's a very subjective story. It's all being told through the experience of these characters who are making these increasingly terrifying discoveries of what's going on in what was their normal neighborhood. And I think that, you know, the set pieces they're all, I think, very distinct. It doesn't feel like you're in a repetitive mode of seeing the same thing again and again. Each sequence has its own flavor, its own purpose. Some I think are really terrifying. Others are actually pretty funny. I think there are some. There's one sequence in particular that I think is. I would argue it's potentially a classic tension sequence, and it is just, I think, so brilliantly directed. David's idea was to have dinosaurs that don't quite look the way every dinosaur has looked in other films, and while one could argue what dinosaurs actually did look like, and you know, we all know what dinosaurs look like in the films that we see, and so I know that David went into this, you know, definitively looking at whether it was, you know, feathers or fur or coloring to try to find ways to have them pop and feel unique to this film, and not, you know, not super familiar. And the benefit of ILM, beyond the fact that they obviously have done the Jurassic Park films, is that, you know, the artists there are so they're so good, and they care so much about what they do.